What's up, dude? Why do you have a headache?
I did ayahuasca.
Oh,
No, I don't think that's
that
why.
makes sense.
I don't think that's why. Maybe it is. You become more aware of your body. So yeah, I did it over the weekend.
You think you always have a headache and now you're just aware of it?
Maybe I was always
You just
there.
live in the constant state of migraine?
That was my experience. I was like the Hulk. I was always angry. It's like, why are you angry? It's like, you're always
angry. You live in anger. Isn't it crazy that before ever doing ayahuasca, you would have said you never get angry?
Yeah. No, and I mean, that is true
I know.
for how everyone describes the word anger in the world. I never get angry.
Never shouted, never got violent.
Never shouted, never got violent. When stuff would happen, I would take a deep breath and diffuse the situation.
Bury it deep down.
Well, and diffuse and be effective in situations where tensions ran high. You know, it was like a great, probably better than I am today.
I was going to say, so talk me through the advantage of tuning into your rage.
I don't think there is one.
You're better off repressed?
No, this is the whole thing. And then I think any sort of therapy or those choice center landmark things that people go to is people on the outside can look at it and go, you seem sadder or more in touch with your sadness, more in touch with your anger.
Yeah.
Is this a good thing? And I see the argument against it, is what I'm saying, because now you're feeling angry, you're feeling sad. But I think that there is it's a wholeness that you feel, which is like this baseline of like, like all the pieces of me are like in the right place, you know, even if they get angry and sad. So I think that it's a weird benefit, and I do think that she was talking, the shaman who we went to mentioned shadow work prior to it. The idea that you are much bigger than you realize. So all of the things that you think that you are, whether you are smart, there is a shadow side of you which is dumb. If you are kind, there is a shadow side of you that is vicious. And particularly the things that you most strongly define yourself as are the opposite thing you must bury the deepest and become completely unaware of, even though it's just as present as any other thing in your life. So when you bring it out, it can't run you from the shadows, and it can't make you do subtle things. Because we talked about, with me previous, how anger can come through in resentments, and it can come through in passive aggression, and it can come through in ways that do not qualify as anger, but are nonetheless...
Yeah, just being a dick in other moments.
Yes.
Totally unrelated.
Yes.
And the person receiving you being a dick is just going, Charlie's just got a biting tongue, or whatever.
Or it's not even... Yeah, the psyche would conspire to make sure that it could not possibly be qualified as anger. It would come out in some sort of righteous, way that you'd go, wow, he's really passionate about child labor law or something.
Yeah. Well, and I think it would come back at the person you're angry at in other ways.
Not always.
And
it can come out. Here's the thing. The energy just has to get discharged. And in fact, if you think of a lot of people, it doesn't actually often come out at the person that is causing.
Well, it seems like if you're going to repress all your anger and then take it out on child labor laws, that's like a good outcome. That feels nice.
Well, what happens is you are going to be less effective in that, because you're not seeing the world as it is at that point. You're incapable of looking at the systemic problem. What you'll see is this evil Chinese government is evilly doing these evil things, and they're the bad guy. And really, what you have to deal with is some personal relationship that you have. You're more effective if you can view that independent of whatever problem you have in your personal life. So anyway, what's the advantage? I don't know. Headaches. And now everybody is happy and lighter after they do it. One thing that was interesting, because we've talked about how there's the 3-part brain, right? You've got your limbic brain and the brainstem and then the neocortex. And I'm sure you've had this experience where I had taken ayahuasca and was just sitting there. I was like, I wonder if we're going to get up now. And then it was like, it's not time. And then 3 seconds later, it's time. And I stand up and then I go, is it time?
Yeah, you feel like a passenger.
It's not time. You have a strong feeling, depending on how much you take, of being... The best analogy I can give is I used to think that I was directing the movie.
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay, cut. Okay, here we're gonna take this angle, and I realized the movie had already been shot, and I was doing the director's commentary on the movie. And it's I think a powerful lesson about, if you are the director's commentary, you could scream about the decision that the character made in the scene before. Like, what was he thinking? Why would he do that? Or you could just relax and watch the movie.
So question, have you ever tapped into that in your actual 3D life?
Yeah.
Yeah? Because I have felt that at times on psychedelics, but then when I'm living my life, I feel like the director. I feel very in control.
Yes, and it's not frequent, but I think that's what people sometimes call as flow, or music sometimes takes me there.
Well, I'm not so I've been in flow.
Yeah.
When surfing, when I was fighting, even when talking to people, sometimes at Charisma, I'll just black out for an hour. But I'm not doing director's commentary. I'm actually not doing anything.
It's just in.
An hour passes and I go, I do not know why these 17 people are around me. Or I do not know how I just tapped that guy out.
Yeah.
Like you just kind of come back to being, I guess, not present, to doing commentary, and you go, I guess I won that.
Yeah.
So it's not really director's commentary for me when I'm in flow. It's like being so present you almost black it out.
It's like the movie without director's commentary, and you're just in the scene and it's just happening. Yeah. So this was different from that, and I agree with what you're saying with regard to flow, where stuff just seems to. I've felt it in music where it just comes through you. You are. They call it one with the music.
Yeah, you almost have to reflect to figure out what happened. To figure out what you
and
played.
then you wish you had it. You wish you had it on camera because your memory is always bad, worse. Yeah, but it's just an interesting commentary. I do tend to believe, and we talked of the lack of free will, that all of the commentary, the running, and the deliberation that I do before I make a decision. When it's time to get up and get that drink of water, I got up and got the drink of water. But when it wasn't time, I was like, it's not time. And just sat there. And then literally 5 seconds later, with no warning, was on my feet walking to get the water. So that was interesting. But no, it was a challenging and I think hopefully worthwhile experience as it usually is.
Good luck. I sat this one out and I have no regrets.
No, I don't have any about going. So lots of stuff though that I had written previous to this, because my brain didn't do too much podcast thinking after we started. One that we've had that just came up was we've had a number of people reach out to us, random blasts from the past recently, and it's not important who or how, but one of the things that I noticed is a commonality in them, and that I just wanted to share with anybody, is two things. One, people that we knew years ago have reached out to us, oftentimes in their own way asking for help, sometimes very sneakily. And I've been surprised, first off, by how, willing we would be to offer help. Meaning, so if there's someone in your life that you were close to 7 years ago and you send the right message, they'll help you.
Totally.
And that's been my experience.
I have a friend that I was close to from 6 to 13. That's 19 years ago.
Yeah.
If he shot me a text that said, hey, I know this is really random, but I'm thinking about quitting my job and starting a business. Could we chat? I'd get on the phone with him.
Yeah. And help as much as I can. Every online course that I had access to, and I would be excited and happy to, for the right message.
Yes.
What's strange is that we've gotten the wrong message a lot of times, which is, hey, just reaching out because of XYZ. I just saw that I had your thing in my garage and I wanted to send it to you. How have you been? 2 texts later, by the way, things are really rough.
Yeah.
Sigh. Like, if you had just said, I'm going through something right now.
And I could use someone to talk to, and
I know this
I'd
is
love
random.
it to be you. Yeah, you'll get a yes.
You'll get a yes. So that was my 2 thoughts. Was one, for my own life, I definitely got the strong sense that I could reach out, if I was honest about my motivations, to people that I haven't spoken to in 20 years.
Sure.
And expect a response in the affirmative.
Sure.
And the second is that if I did it in a sneaky, duplicitous way that was just wanting to reconnect.
Well, what's funny is there's this weird, when someone reaches out to you in a way where you get the sense that there's an ulterior motive, it's very off-putting.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, when they just reach out to you with the motive, it's much more comfortable, because you don't feel like they're trying to trick you or use you in a way that's sneaky. And so you can just decide if you want to do what they're asking. And then if it's someone you used to have a close relationship with, almost always, it's like, you get an hour of my time, no problem.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is that we probably more than most who don't have a YouTube channel or something are asked these things, but are willing to, which leads me to believe that the average general population would reconnect.
So also, isn't it interesting too that it almost seems like it's human nature to try the sneaky route?
Yeah.
Because we very rarely get the direct, hey man, what's up?
Yeah.
Things are hard. It's almost always, let's try to like warm up the water.
How are you?
Yeah.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fine. How are you? yeah.
Things are tough, but that's not why I'm reaching out. Yeah. There's been a lot of that. So
It's funny. You don't even have. I just had a call with my freshman year roommate. It was an hour and 45 minutes. We didn't even schedule it. He just called me.
Yeah.
I went, I'm not doing much. Just picked up and we talked. Like, it's you don't have to do all the extra manipulation.
And so I've just been thinking for myself. I'm gonna if there is somebody that I want to talk to, I'm going to give myself permission based on my experience having been reached out to, even though some of these people I didn't connect with because of the way that it happened. So that's been what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I think in general my lesson is don't try to hide your motives.
Yeah.
This is the issue with the friend zone. Yeah. This is people that don't get promotions they want because they just try to like manipulate them out instead of asking for them. I see this in everyone's
So why then life. Well, this is the worth of video. We've read Radical Honesty. It's really hard to implement, but we try. Why manipulate? Why? I don't think you should. Is there an area where it's advantageous? Is it advantageous in the short term? Is it?
Well, number one, people don't like conflict. So in terms of Radical Honesty, people are normally very non-confrontational. We're raised, at least here in the culture I grew up in, is very much don't rock the boat. You know, don't make a scene, that kind of thing. And so a lot of people are just uncomfortable having hard conversations. So radical honesty is really tough for people because they go, well, I'm going to say this and then you're not going to like hearing it.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be angry at me.
Yeah.
And even for a moment, that makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And what's a skill that I had to get to is like, okay, yeah, like let's talk while we're angry.
That's a good point. Well, that's a good point is to recognize that I think what manipulation does is it time crunches the process of getting what you want, which is, okay, I'll be deceitful or just not fully honest about this, but I can very quickly in the moment get the positive response that I want. Versus if you go radical honesty, it's like, okay, we just opened up this can of worms process.
Well, people
that
also
now needs to be worked through.
Actually, you know what I just thought of also? People don't like rejection. So one reason that people manipulate is because they don't like confrontation. A different unrelated one is they don't like rejection. So asking for the promotion directly, you might hear no, and you won't like that.
And if you don't ask, you can't
hear.
These
texts that we've been getting. Hey, how's it going? I'm going to reach out with these weird innocuous texts, even though we haven't talked in years. I didn't reject the person because they never asked.
So
they said, how are you doing? I said, good, how are you? They said, it's hard. And I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope it turns around for you. And what they were hoping I'd say is, oh, tell me all about why it's hard. Let's get on the phone. But they never got rejected. They never got rejected.
They didn't get what they want.
They said
but
it's
they didn't
hard.
Get rejected.
And I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. And I hope that it turns around for you. And I sent a little heart emoji. And that's not a rejection to them. So their ego, pride, whatever you want to call it, is completely unscathed, even though what they actually wanted was to talk to me, and they didn't even ask to talk to me.
Yeah.
And so I think we manipulate to avoid confrontation, and we manipulate to avoid rejection. And weirdly enough, we achieve our goals.
Yeah.
We don't have confrontation, and we don't get rejected.
Interesting.
We also don't get what we want. And so what we've had to learn to do, because this isn't how most people are raised, is accept confrontation, get really comfortable with rejection, and then you're way more likely to get what you want.
Well, I think there's a third thing which you touched on, which is manipulation. I think is actually more effective when you're younger than when you are older. When you are younger, you are stuck with a particular circle, which is the friend that your mom puts you in touch with, your mom, your dad, your brother, and your sister, and you're just placed in that family. And this might be a family where honesty just doesn't work. The whole idea of honesty is that it works on the net, on the aggregate. You say you burn one friendship with honesty, but you open up the possibility of a more truthful one.
Yeah.
And when you just have 4 or 5 people in your life,
sure,
it doesn't work.
Sure. If you're the only human I'm ever allowed to talk to, I'm much more scared of confrontation and rejection. When I have all of LA, then
when the world is open,
much more comfortable going, anyone can reject me, anyone can hate me, because there's infinite other opportunities to connect with people.
And I think that's a habit that's worth recognizing and tough to break, which is this made sense when in your small community back home.
Sure.
Now it doesn't, because you can open that community up and have better relationships than you had, but the price you will pay is that the honesty that you need to have might end some of those relationships.
It never did with me, but radical honesty as a kid might get you a beating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're 7 years old. You need these people for food and shelter, and
it'll definitely get you a beating.
10 times your size.
Definitely get you.
You know?
No, there's a degree to which you have to be socialized. You have to modulate your anger and your
radical honesty plus some charisma,
plus and some internal kids. A radical honesty for a child is a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
and an adult has ways of coping and processing that can still be radically honest without pounding your fists on the ground.
So that's fascinating. Yeah. So we manipulate because you have to when you're in a small community and when you're young. We don't like rejection and we don't like confrontation. I like this. We've never talked about this before.
Well, I think it's so common. Here's what we're bumping up against. It doesn't work very well.
And everyone's trying to do it.
And everyone is trying to do it.
Yep.
Why?
Yep.
It must have worked in some way at some time towards some end, if that's the case. And I'm certain, if we had some horrible Y2K or whatever, manipulation might go back to being the name of the most effective game. I no longer think it is, luckily for us in the world we live in, and I think for hopefully a lot of our listeners.
Yeah.
So, worth thinking about. So anyway, that was that. What else do I got here? September 11th happened. I saw a couple of things that made me just reminisce. One was, there was on Reddit, George Bush throwing the first pitch at Yankee Stadium after September 11th. And the headline was like, he threw us a perfect heater right down the middle, right when we needed it the most. And I was alive back then, and I remember the vitriol towards George Bush back in that day. And it's been, I guess, 18 years, and it's interesting that Reddit, which at the time, I don't know that it existed, but if it had, would have been, and you, stepping outside of the politics, I mean, 2 wars were started, neither of which were the countries that were the nationality, at least, of most of the hijackers. I guess they trained in Afghanistan, but not in Iraq. And 2 big wars happened, trillions of dollars, and he threw a heater right down the middle is what's on Reddit right now. And I think it's interesting because what's on Reddit right now for Donald Trump is hate. Just we got to impeach this monster. There's never been a monster like him. But back then, if you ask the same type of person, there was a monster like him. So I guess it gives me 2 things. One, which I try to maintain, is just you don't live in the end times. You almost never do live in the end times. The world is almost...
No one so far has lived in the end times. Let's put it that way.
The guy who is leading the world is never the Antichrist yet. It hasn't happened. And I don't know that we actually... this is the thing. Every news station has had it, but it's been my whole life, has been trying to convince me that I live in an exceptional time. That something strange that is happening right now that is unprecedented. It's never happened before, and there's something strange about Donald Trump or Barack Obama and now or George Bush. It's just not really been the case, and then I think in 18 years we're going to look back at some goofy thing that Donald Trump did on Reddit, and we're going to meme it, and there's going to be somebody else in power that we hate.
Life will have moved on. No one will have actually created the death of all humanity. And so you'll have to stop being... You can't be hysterical about the past. That's actually interesting. You can't say that George Bush is going to lead to the destruction of the U.S. because he didn't. But when he is president and he is doing things, you can go, this is the end. And then he's out and then Barack Obama's in. You go, well, this is... I mean, people were saying he's a mole for terrorist groups and he was going to take down America. And then America was just fine. You go, okay, well, that wasn't true. But now this time we have a Russian mole, and we'll just survive and
just a lot of
panic about the next guy.
So I guess
woman.
I think that we've talked about this, but the problem is, and people, I'm sure right now, some of whom are going, that's a false equivalency because yada, 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 and this, that, and the other thing. And I think the problem is that in George Bush, you're zoomed out. You can only view it in terms of what happened over 5, what did he do in his first term? What did he do in his second term? You could probably name 2 or 3 things, right? Donald Trump, you're in the 24-hour news cycle. You know 3 things he did this week. You know what he texted, you know what he said, you know what he like. And when you are hyper zoomed in on something, it is impossible to compare to something which you're viewing at 3,000 miles away. It seems so much more important and significant.
You know what's funny? Without the 24-hour news, and if it weren't Donald Trump, let's just say Jeb Bush had won and done all the same policies, most people wouldn't have even noticed much of a change in their lives.
Well, I think if you challenged people, many people, and I spoke to my mom who is we've had conversations and is not as upset, but Donald Trump, it's the Thanksgiving thing. Oh, everything was good until Donald Trump did X, Y, or Z, and I have to go, what has changed in your life? I understand that you think that things, but describe them.
And just to clarify, we're not pro-Trump.
No,
we're anti-panic.
We're
just saying,
I'm
take a deep breath.
anti-CNN. I'm anti-24-hour news cycle.
Take a deep breath. Look at your life. be grateful for what's good.
And here's
we're not making a pro-Trump statement. We're just saying
and we've mentioned this, and this is why I care about this. This isn't just to say, oh, take a chill pill. It's to say someone's benefiting from your panic and your rage and your anger.
Yeah,
and
you're being
not
used.
You. And it's not the world. If you want to help, just put up another campaign for charity water today, same campaign, and we're trying to raise $300,000 to donate to get wells in Africa to get clean water to people who don't have it. $30 gets somebody 10 years of clean water. If you want to help, there's ways to help in the world, and being angry is not the most effective.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I'm saying is if you don't let the news cycle co-opt your emotions, you can be more effective in your life and for the world. I think oftentimes people think, you know what, yes, it makes me angry, but that fuel is what we need to get stuff done. And
then they don't do anything.
They argue or they and I think what you need to do is zoom out and say, okay, what has been the effect of my past year of emotional response on the world in a quantifiable way?
Yeah.
And, lives saved, people helped, hands held, whatever it is. Laws changed. And try to be, if not, you don't have to do any of this. If you care. Only if you care about it. If you don't care.
My sister flew to D.C. To try to make a small change to legislation, to be there and be present. She is absolutely allowed to talk about and research that issue to her heart's content.
Sure.
Because, she's trying to actually enact change. But that's what everyone can do. If you can't afford a flight, you can organize an actual group thing in your area. You can do something besides yell at people who don't believe what you believe.
And all that I would suggest is, going back to the George Bush thing, is zoom out. Zoom out and look at it at least in increments of years, and look at your own impact on the year, and that's a really useful way to do it, rather than being hyper reactive to the daily news cycle, which is you're just watching their advertisers. You're just making money for CNN and then buying Procter & Gamble products. And that's the whole game. And while you stay in your job that you think you need to buy products, then it all comes back. I do believe that it all comes back to consumerism. I think that it all drives a cycle of feeling empty and needing to solve inner problems with external
What
purchases.
Was the book that had 2 Minutes of Hate?
That was 1984.
And what was the at the time fictional story there?
China. There
was
three.
But the government would control people by giving them 2 minutes of hate, right?
One of the things that it was a very top-down organizational thing where you were in the party kind of at various levels, and that they controlled people with 2 minutes of hate and telling them all this propaganda about the Russians and the Chinese.
And then you'd go and you'd rage and you'd rage and you'd rage, and then you go back to being a cog.
And if you fought it enough, you would be co-opted and become a high-order person in the government. That's how it ends. It ends with he's rehabilitated.
If you fight against
they will co-opt you and put you in a position of leadership in this new, like the machine will take you and not just bury you.
If you rebel against the machine, they quiet you by
Spoiler
promoting
alert.
you in the machine. Interesting. I never read it. It's been out for a while.
Yeah, it's been out for a while. No, it's been a while. They have him do his fears. The one thing that is interesting, it's been a long time since I've read it, but there's this idea that it's his love of this woman that could be the one thing that gets him out of it. And in the end, he's terrified of, I think, mice, and they put him in a cage with a mouse running at him. And he declares, and this could be completely wrong, or I'm going off of memory, that he doesn't care about her anymore. Whatever, please get me out of this. And it's in breaking his love that they break him. And it's in separating his connection to another human being that they're able, then he just, he sits and sips coffee, and he's in the high status of this new government. Huh. And I think it's poignant. I think.
When was that written? What a good story.
Yeah. It was. I guess it was George Orwell, 30s or 40s or 50s.
Yeah, someone should go listen to that on audible.com/charisma.
Well, the other thing, September 11th related.
I'm such a shilt.
Is the other thing September 11th related is that, so I also on Reddit, I thought it was just fascinating. What a different world. September 12th, England played the U.S. national anthem at Buckingham Palace or something. And I presume some of them were Americans, but English people were in tears. And I mean, gosh, everyone loved us.
Well, that's not true.
Not everyone, but there was a
more people than today.
Consensus. Sure, not everyone, but we had just been punched and.
Sorry, you don't mean in 2010.
I mean
gotcha. You mean on September 12th, 2011.
Oh, sorry, did I say that? Yeah, it's on 2001, September 12th.
Or 2000, yeah.
There was a mandate. There was a potential for something.
Yeah.
And it's just not.
We took all that goodwill. We just lit it on fire.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah.
It seems like it. I don't really have much to say other than that. I was just shocked at how different it felt.
Yeah.
When, we are all Americans. Whoa. That's a far cry from what I experience anymore.
Yeah.
Or at least what I see on social media. That's the other thing, because what I experience on social media is a big fat lie.
You know what's funny? Yeah, this is a real quick point, but I was living abroad in 2007.
Yeah.
I think it was. And the reputation was that France didn't like the U.S. and French people didn't like the United States citizens. And when you travel abroad in Europe, you should say you're Canadian. Mm-hmm. And I went to France with a buddy with nowhere to stay and no plans and a backpack. And everyone was so absolutely lovely to us. And we said we were Americans and we didn't hide it. And it was totally fine. And it just made me realize that your government interaction and your people interaction is totally different. We get this with fans, or the guy we hired who's Syrian, who was embarrassed to say it. It's like, people often just accept that you're a person. Yeah. You're not actually hated because of where you live or were born. Yeah. By most people. I just thought that was fascinating because at the time I thought I was going to get to France and get egged for being American.
Yeah, it's why I try to stay off. I mean, Reddit gives me stuff to talk about here, but quite frankly, I'd probably be better served to not have any idea and just live in the world that I live in because that's more honest. So, transition. The one question I wanted to ask you, what we talked about this. You spoke to someone who was talking to us about doing a different sort of sales funnel. And one of the things he said was if you do a webinar, one of the ways that you get people to buy on the webinar is by offering a bonus that is exclusive to that webinar. Mm-hmm. And you said, so we have this Charisma University course, you're going to give them a bonus. And you said, okay, but what about the people who buy on our website?
Yeah.
And he said,
well, because the question, you don't want to have people that are paying the same price and then getting upset because they didn't get the bonus.
Different things.
Yeah.
And he said, don't worry, you don't advertise the bonus on the website, but you give it to them so they get it. So what they get is equal, and you tell the people on the webinar that this is the only place they can get the bonus.
Yep.
And you said, but that's a lie.
Yep.
And he said, but no one's going to complain because everyone's getting the bonus. It's not a problem. And so what I wanted to ask you, and we just stopped the conversation there because we are in agreement, but it's worth revisiting. Why not lie? Mm-hmm. Why not?
I mean, I don't know that this is the best business decision, honestly, profit-wise. I would say I like to operate a business that could be fully transparent. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to go on Oprah or Ellen and have them ask me questions and then be able to answer honestly and not have people watching feeling deceived.
Yeah. Also,
for my own life, I read 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, and it talks about even when lying is good for you in the results short term, right? Even if it does get you more money or more dates or whatever, it erodes your own acceptance of yourself because you've decided that the truth is not good enough and therefore you're not good enough. And so lying actually is a one-way ticket to low self-esteem and low confidence. And I think that at the end of the day, I'll be happier with high confidence, high integrity, and less money. Yeah,
fewer sales.
I really think we would sell more Charisma University memberships if we followed this guy's advice.
Of course, that's a given.
Yeah,
that's 100%.
So it's not that I think I'm superior in business or anything like that. The juice isn't worth the squeeze to me because I think my own happiness is very impacted by my own self-esteem, and my self-esteem, I was convinced by this book, is eroded by any time that you say the truth isn't good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm going to lie.
Yeah.
So that's my thought. What's your thought?
I think it's all true. I think what I heard in him was one of the things that self-interest does is it distorts your perception of the world. And when everybody is self-interested and we can agree on distorted perceptions of the world, that doesn't mean that the distortion isn't occurring. So for example, he says, this is good for everyone. Everyone's happy. And I think what's easy for him to overlook and miss is there was somebody on that webinar that did not want to buy under the honest circumstances. And you convince them to buy. And then he goes, well, I believe in my course. And he goes, well, you could, do you not believe in other people's books or other people's courses? Yours is the greatest thing out there. There's this whole self-serving machinery that kicks into gear that this is good for the world. What I'm doing is good for people. And that's why I'm doing it.
And you have to believe it in order to aggressively sell what you are selling.
Well, and when you make that self-interest so central, you cannot see the world. And what I think, and again,
I pass a polygraph, to be clear.
100%. He believes exactly what he's saying.
It's self-deception.
Yeah. And I don't even mean to be. I would love to talk to him, and he seems like someone I would be friends with or get along with.
I quite like him.
Yeah. This is not even a knock. This is occurring in me, and it's occurring in everyone, and it's easy to see in other people, so it's easy to break apart.
I think that's worth saying. Yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
Even us with our best of intentions, and even any person watching this, regardless of how hard they try,
is going to do this.
Yes, and then, it's a matter of degrees. You can try to fight the degrees, but it is impossible not to be biased by your own self-interest at some level.
Sure. I mean, you're a biological machine whose number one is hell-bent on survival. And if the truth doesn't support what you perceive as your ability to survive, you will just go, don't need that. What I need is to keep going. And if I think I need more money, I don't need the truth. That comes second. So I think what it in terms of morality, you could argue, okay, you're actually not necessarily helping these people. You could be hurting these people. That money could be better spent elsewhere with an honest pitch that was more tailored to them. But beyond that, you've set up a system whereby you distort the world to get what you think you need. And maybe what you think you need, in this case, you think you need more money, you think you need more sales, you think they need to buy it. Maybe that's not what you really need. And if you could step outside of your own self-interest for long enough to ask the question, what do I really need? The answer might not be more money and more sales. In fact, I think it obviously isn't. And that comes back, what do you need is perhaps higher self-esteem, a greater feeling of self-love and happiness in the way that...
Self-acceptance.
Exactly. And
I think a lot of really successful people are fueled by a lack of self-acceptance. They don't think they're good enough.
Sure.
And what they've decided is that when they have a certain amount of money, then they will have been a success in their mind. And what I've noticed with these people is as soon as they get the money, the number just goes up. And it's just like, well, you know what? I thought 5 mil would be good, but what I need is 20 mil.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, funny enough, what they are searching for is just a sense inside themselves that they're okay and worthy of love and have been successful.
But they can't admit that, right? Because the white lie, the nobody gets hurt lie, throws an entire distortion on their entire thing of viewing the world, whereby when you lie, you presume that you know what you need, right? That's the thing, because you have an end in mind and you're trying to get to that end. If you could tell the truth, it might expose you to something. Holy crap, that wasn't very important.
Well, I've done it. By the way, I've done this. But a lot of times people's identity gets in the way too. So I was doing open relationships, and you used to ask me, hey, if I could find a hypnotist who would hypnotize you so that you would be extremely happy in a monogamous relationship, would you want to do that? And it always made me really uncomfortable because I'm like, I know the right answer is yes, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I think that for these people, it's the same thing. We talked to a guy, really successful business guy. I hope to work with him. But we're talking about ayahuasca, and he said, oh, I'm really scared to go to ayahuasca. We said, oh, why? He said, well, I'm afraid that if I went, it would make me want to work less, which is so funny because that is saying I'm afraid that if I go, I'll realize that to be happier and more fulfilled, I should do less work and do more of something else.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Even though it'll make me happier and more fulfilled, which is just so fascinating.
Yeah.
And I think that happens with a lot of people with their identities.
This is, I think, why there's a leap of faith that is when you do something, or you try to, because I don't even want to pretend to be the paragon. When you try to do something like radical honesty, there's a leap of faith where you're clinging to status quo, and you're like, I'm surviving. And you look over, and there's a different wall that's like, or not even a wall, there's a fall that's happiness. And you're like, it requires a leap to let go of that thing that you think you need. And he said, he's like, I don't work that much, just 60-hour weeks. He used to work more than that.
Yeah.
How's that working out for you? All the answers point in the same direction. But again,
and just to be clear,
we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. If you said to me,
because I like waking up when I want to wake up, working on something I care about, having time to surf during the week. That's what I think makes me happy. If you told me I'm going to push a button, you're going to have a 9-to-5 job.
You're going to wear a suit.
And you're going to be 10 times happier.
Yeah.
That makes me uncomfortable. I like to think I would accept the offer. But the idea of it makes me uncomfortable because it does go against the identity I formed in the pursuit of happiness, which is the identity of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I'm no better than these people. We all have this. I think everyone has this concept that they think they know what makes them happy. And they are not willing to even play a hypothetical game of, well, what if you did this and I guaranteed you 10 times more happiness?
No, I watch actualize.org. He's an interesting YouTube channel that is big on spirituality and meditation. And I watched one on survival that has got me pretty convinced that that's the ultimate distortion. You mentioned identity. If you identify, like, survival occurs on a number of different levels. There's your physical survival, but there's also your concept of yourself. Your self-concept wants to survive into the future. And things that hurt or kill your self-concept are treated as a death. And that is the degree to which you will resist them. Somebody tells you you can be happy, but you have to die. You go, no, 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 no. Like, not even, don't even want to smell that, not interested. So I think the point of what, meditation, talking about these sorts of things, psychedelics, is to release hold on these rigid identity structures and realize that there is survival after you're not an entrepreneur or not working 60 hours a week or not really wealthy or not whatever it is that you think that you are. Which is, that's why I'm going to probably keep doing ayahuasca, even though it's hard.
You think? I thought you were never going back.
I'll go back eventually. I mean, when you're under the influence.
The day after I called you and you said, I'm never going back.
No, when you're under the influence.
It's so hard. I'm never going back.
You forget it afterwards, but I make so many promises to myself, swearing up and
never,
down.
Ever,
never again. Never
again.
I wrote it down. The one thing, I had a notebook. I wrote, take less. But anyway, I've got a couple other long things.
Let's rip it.
It's been heavy. We'll do some other stuff.
Good. I'm enjoying this.
All right, so this one is a long one. Somebody wrote about Sam Harris. We talked about moral relativity, and they said that I had mischaracterized his point. I don't even have the whole thing, so I'll try to capture it. That his point of Sam. So we talked about relativity, morality, and generally speaking, if you didn't watch the last podcast, there's on the one extreme absolute morality that says that there are ways of conduct that are better, period, for all humans, regardless of what your culture may tell you, and these can be accessed via reason or some other thing. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there's moral relativity, which says this is a completely human construct. One is not better than the other when viewed from outside of that human perspective. We can argue with each other, and we can kill each other, and we can win, and we can enforce a morality, but that doesn't make anyone better. And so I was talking about moral relativity, and this person says that I mischaracterized Sam Harris because what he talks about are moral peaks and valleys, which is not that there is any one absolute perfect morality, but that if you scan what he calls the landscape, you can see that certain things are more desirable than others, and that a reasonable person can see this. Now, if that is, in fact, a fair description of what Sam thinks, I still would defend my idea of moral relativity, which is a reasonable person.
Yeah. You're just defining a reasonable person as someone with your cultural values.
Exactly, and that I don't know. And that there was another that this.
What is that to say? Is he just assuming anyone that follows a different morality is
I think he's got
unreasonable?
I would like to talk to Sam because I know that this is not fair because he is a really smart guy.
Let's go grab him at Equinox.
He goes to the same gym as us. I talked to him one time. He wasn't really having it.
Yo, what's up, Sam? We've been talking about you on our podcast.
We've been talking major shit.
People think we're mischaracterizing you. We figured we'd just corner you here on the bench press and chat it out.
So, peaks and valleys. Yeah. But I think that there's a couple words that can be weasel words that can be snuck in. Well-being is one of them, human well-being. Who defines what well-being is? And who says that the individual human is the unit by which well-being should be measured? That's a Western idea, and I like it. I appreciate it. I certainly perceive myself as an individual.
I pursue it, but yeah, there's an argument to be made that it's more about the
survival of
well-being.
The tribe or the whatever, and that individual. So I think that well-being and who it applies to is completely who says that it applies to that body or this body or that body. Why shouldn't it apply to a collective? Why shouldn't it apply to my hand? I don't know that reason, pure reason, or something that we all have access to can take us there. So I don't see. I still, despite that, the point well taken. I think I did probably, I'm sure, mischaracterize Sam Harris. I don't know that mischaracterization changes my fundamental argument that I don't see a way around moral relativity.
But I appreciate the comment.
Yeah,
I love how smart our audience is.
Yeah,
people gave us some Michael Jackson stuff. I appreciate this comment.
Yeah,
it's good.
So, and then
I watched a document. Actually, I'm going to toss this out in my own self-interest. I watched the trailer to a movie, Game Changers, that has convinced me to become much closer to a vegetarian. And the compelling thing in the movie is actually self-interest. So whereas we gave up eating beef and pork for moral reasons, even though I miss them, it just was like, this is, bad. This was saying, just for yourself, you'll have more energy, you'll recover faster, you'll be stronger. And the way they do it is they just throw NFL players, Olympic athletes, all
Arnold
these
Schwarzenegger,
vegan
is the
superhumans
producer,
basically in your face. And I am going to try it for myself and see. But I'd love someone to come at me and tell me why vegetarian diets are stupid.
It's going to kill me.
So, yeah, I'd love to know why a vegetarian diet is a bad idea for someone who is not trying to be a professional athlete, but I do like surfing and I like feeling fit and I just want energy. I want to recover good and and I just want to be able to live my life at a high state of energy in sports, basically.
Yeah. What I thought was, and we did mention this, is that this documentary smartly attacks your self-interest. It doesn't take any sort of climate change stance that I saw, though I would bet dimes to dollars that this is not a documentary made by people interested in optimizing individual health.
It might be for animal rights. It might be for global warming. But what we're saying is we don't think that this documentary was made by a scientist who went question and only question.
Yeah.
What is the optimal diet for human performance?
Yes.
That's being a vegan.
Yeah.
They went, let's make a movie that makes people want to be vegan.
Yeah.
Then it's working. I'm going to give it the old college try.
The old college try. And that was my, and again, I think it's,
I don't dispute that, for the record. That's, to me, obvious.
Sure. I don't know. I can't read any mind. It seems
But what I thought was interesting, so the Tennessee Titans, NFL football team, they actually are operating under self-interest, as is every other team that eats meat. But the Tennessee Titans are not trying to global warming.
And the Tennessee Titans have like 14 of 16 players on a vegetarian diet.
And they're just trying to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. And to be clear, that's one team. All the other teams are eating meat trying to win a Super Bowl. So this is why I'm saying I'm tossing this out to our audience of geniuses who know more about this than I do. Seriously, they know way more. I just watched the trailer.
Yeah.
What am I missing? Or am I right? I'd love to hear opinions. Is a vegetarian diet a good idea if all you care about is waking up with energy, healing your body when it's sore, and surfing well?
Sure. I don't know the answer to that. I wonder when I watch that, I think that I see an attempt to get people to quote unquote do the right thing through the mechanism of self-interest.
Sure, it's manipulation.
And I wonder how far that can go towards creating good in the world. Because we've talked about this. Sure. Okay, so let's pretend, just for the sake of argument, that what these producers want is that they are afraid of climate change. Yeah. And they think we need to stop with the cattle because of the grazing and the farting and the methane or whatever. Yeah. And in order to do that, we're going to get people to stop eating so much beef. Now, here's what happens. These people don't care about that issue.
Sure.
They care about a proxy issue, which is their own thing. So now they go, okay, what's best for me? Avocados, nuts, this, that. They start buying up avocados. There's this run demand on avocados. Yeah. California turns into a giant avocado.
We burn down the rainforest so we can plant avocados. Yeah, I agree with you.
And I wonder, and
if you lie about the goal, people will pursue the perceived goal.
The means, yeah. And I think it's still worthwhile, and I will still do it. When I make my charity water pitch, I make it about you're going to feel good and you're going to do this or do this for me. I don't go, hey, you got to expand your circle of care to include people you've never met. Yeah.
If you were a 6-year-old and you didn't have clean water, you would want someone in their air-conditioned apartment to give you some water.
Yeah.
No, that's not no one donates when you do that. We'll
put a link in the description, by the way, if you're at all inspired to donate.
charitywater.org/charisma.
Yeah. And I do that. I try to appeal to people's 50-yard line self-interest in order to, get them to where I'm aiming at, which is the end zone. And that can go wrong.
Well, the other thing is, in the pursuit of this is actually why I posed the question, and also why I'm doing it in my own way instead of just doing what certain people recommend, is because there were comments. They're saying, like, listen, the NFL drug tests, the Olympics drug tests, but there's people that are in this trailer who are purporting the benefits of vegan diet who are on steroids. Just straight up. Like, I'm not going to say who because I haven't done the research, but the comments are saying, look into this guy. 1,000% he's on TRT, he's on HGH, he's on anabolic steroids. His diet is vegan plus steroids. And you know what?
Do you think is
if
doing
you do vegan plus steroids, you'll recover faster. You'll feel high energy. Whatever, you might die younger. And I thought that was interesting. It's like, you know what? Whoever made this movie isn't going to include that necessarily. If they do, I'll eat my words and I'll be stoked about it. But my guess is that they're just going to tell you that he's on a vegan diet, which he is. Because what you inject doesn't count as your diet.
This comes down, and like I said, we're not perfect. We manipulate. I manipulated people to try to do charity water, and there's a limit to how effective you can be in the long term when you don't just let the truth stand for itself. When you try to get people to do things, even if they are good things, there's, what is it, runoff? I don't even know, but you're not actually getting the goal.
I do think I'm going to say there's a gray area between good presentation and manipulation. I think you were in the middle because what you're saying is you said do this because you'll feel good, not do this to get them water. But Scott Harrison, I think very smartly realized that when you present about a charity, people would use the numbers, faceless numbers. There's 100,000 people. There's a million people. And the human brain can't go above 17. And so there's 100,000 people who don't have water. There's 9 million people that don't have water. It means nothing. And what he said was, forget all that.
Tell one story.
I'm going to tell you the story of a woman that is heartbreaking and true. And that was effective, but I don't think that should count as this sort of negative manipulation. And I don't know where you draw the line between manipulation and persuasion. I think manipulation is a loaded word that shouldn't necessarily be negative, but
I think we need to expand. I think we need to accept that manipulation is
everything.
Not wearing
awful. Wearing makeup is
manipulative. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Lifting weights is manipulative.
Yes. So I don't say this as a negative thing, and I just want people to be clear. There's nothing wrong with, and I actually encourage good presentation in the name of being effective. And I think Scott Harrison was well within his moral integrity lines to go, instead of talking about 5 million people, I'm going to talk about this one woman, and I'm going to make people cry because of how sad and tragic it is that she killed herself due to lack of water. And people donated 10 times more. And that's just good presentation. And it's also manipulation.
Well, one thing that I want to do is, I think here's what you can do. You just try to state your bias. And so where we could do this is be like, look, I want you to donate. I made this video so that you will donate. Or if we're doing the sales thing, look, there's no special bonus today that's a secret. I just want you to buy today. And I think that is a pretty good way to cover, here's what I think. This is a great course. I really want you to buy, and it's my business. You try to lay bare.
The reason it's my business is because it was the number one thing that changed my life.
And I like money, and it earns me money. And I think when you try to, that I think is good for us to do in our calls to action, and we can consider that if we ever do a webinar. Be like, there's no special reason to buy today, unless we actually come up with one.
No, the reason to buy today is because you think charisma is important, and you want it in 30 days.
And it's important today to do, because you might not do it tomorrow. But not because there's nothing, I don't want to lie and say that there's something that is unique about today. I just want to tell the truth. So, do we have stories today, Angel?
Fan questions?
Anything today? Stories or?
We've got a couple current events. We've got some fan questions.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
Do you want to go into current events first?
Yes. Borderlands 3 came out. I haven't played a shooter in 10 years. I didn't know there was a Borderlands 1 or 2, and now I'm obsessed. That's story number 1.
That's current event number 1.
Go ahead.
So the first thing that I have here is PewDiePie is facing some backlash after canceling a $50,000 donation to an anti-hate group called Anti Defamation League. He announced it when he had his 100 million subscriber celebration video, and then quickly pulled it back and decided he would be spending his money elsewhere.
Why did he not donate to them?
Well, so he claimed that he was advised to donate to this group because of some things that he said in the past, but after backlash from his fans and a conspiracy that he was being forced to do it.
I saw the conspiracy part where they're like, they've got him.
I think at the high level, he did it as a PR move, was my sense. He did not pick the anti-defamation.
He's not like, I love what they do.
He did not pick the anti-defamation charity because he's really against defamation. He did it because he thought it would be good for him as someone who's gotten in trouble for hate speech.
Got it.
And then when his audience
was like
backlashed on
that.
him, he couldn't stand on the platform of you're wrong, this is a good cause.
Got it. So he's like, well, if this was for PR, like then...
Well, not even if this was. My impression, I don't know him and I didn't research this a ton, is that kind of, that was like a jab that got him to stop and think.
Do I actually want to donate to this?
And he went, you're not wrong.
Okay.
He went, if I didn't have a YouTube channel and I just had my money,
I wouldn't.
And I wanted to give $50,000 to make a positive change in the world, this isn't where I, Felix, forget PewDiePie, I, Felix, would put it.
Got it.
And so he took it back.
His direct quote was he wants to donate to, he said he wants to donate somewhere he feels actually passionate about. That was his quote.
I have a couple thoughts. One, anti-hate, what is it called?
Anti-defamation.
No, that's what it's called. But what is it called? Anti-hate speech? Anti-hate?
The article that I read called it an anti-hate charity.
Great branding, first of all. Anti-defamation charity? Boring. Anti-hate charity? Who doesn't hate hate? So that's really smart. Second, he has so much money, I'm surprised he didn't just do the donation and then do more of a donation.
Yeah.
So that's the one interesting thing. It's like, all right, 50 grand, whatever, and then I'm going to give 200 grand to these other people. But
well, it might have gone, why? Maybe he doesn't like them.
This is my thing, is at a high level, it is his money.
Mm-hmm.
He's not actually obligated to donate it anywhere.
Who is backlashing him? I guess, you know what?
People. Don't worry about it. Yeah, the same people who are people.
Yeah, the people. The three Twitter comments that are.
But I get all sides. But I think at the end of the day, if you don't care about a cause, then you're going to give money to a cause you care about. I get his perspective.
Yeah.
And I hope he donates it somewhere. I'm sure he will, actually.
Yeah.
I think he's done a lot for charity.
He's been pretty generous.
Yeah, the one thing that I thought was interesting is he has so much money. He could just, 50 grand is nothing to him. He could just go, okay, 50 grand to these people, I'm not going to rescind it, but I'm going to go give 400 grand to the stuff I do care about.
Well, I guess he must have felt it was important for whatever reason to not give them money, whether it was to his fans or if it was he went, I actually don't like these people and I don't want to do it. I don't know.
Well, what's fascinating about the whole thing to me is that in the past, this specific organization has spoken out about him publicly. When he had his controversy where, I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah, I remember.
He ordered on Fiverr.
Yeah,
he had some people hold up a sign with some offensive things, and Disney dropped him. This organization tweeted in support of Disney for dropping him for what he's did.
Got it.
I get it. I wouldn't donate to someone that was a dick to me.
Yeah, neither would I.
Here's the thing. I'm one, and I'm going to give myself some credibility here. I'm anti-hate speech. I'm also Jewish. So I get to have an opinion on this according to 2019, right? That's how it works.
Is your identity... Hold on, let me run it through the math checker.
This guy, his joke was against Jews, and I'm Jewish, so I'm allowed to have an opinion, right? At the end of the day, no one has an obligation to donate to anything that they don't want to donate to. I think it's great that he does so much for charity. And yeah, donate to the cause you care about. Don't donate to someone because they were mean to you and you're just trying to get them off your back. Like I totally get his perspective.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I'm honestly a little surprised that he did it in the first place, just because he normally is really good at standing on his guns, or whatever the expression is.
Sticking to his guns.
So yeah, I'm not upset by this. And as a Jew, I get to speak for just myself and not all the Jews, but here we are.
PewDiePie, come on our podcast. We'll talk about it.
Pewdie, I got your back, PewDiePie. But the number one thing I recognized was it's really smart of them to go, we're an anti-hate charity instead of we're an anti-defamation charity. It's good branding.
Yeah.
I don't know, you got any thoughts on it?
I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, good. You're not allowed.
Yeah.
Because you're not a Jew.
Good. You saved yourself.
Good. It was a trap.
That was a trap.
What's the Illuminati sign, by the way?
Upside down triangles. I don't know.
How do I want to start
What do we got?
We also have that 6 people have now died to vaping-related lung illnesses in the United States, and 450 people have been diagnosed with some sort of lung issue around vaping. And Donald Trump spoke out about e-cigarettes and said that he wants to move to ban flavored e-cigarettes to discourage young people and children from using them. In New York, the governor, Andrew... I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo.
Something like that.
is actually also moving to ban flavored e-cigarettes in New York.
Interesting. I you've heard both sides of this.
So this is totally separate, but my friend who
I just want to know where the money is.
His mom
That's all. Just follow the money.
It's in cigarettes. The money's in cigarettes.
Well, why wouldn't cigarettes? Here's the just purchase all of these things. Like, so say that you run Philip Morris.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just buy Juul? And I don't know that it's that simple, because if I ran Philip Morris, I would own Juul now, and I would definitely be lobbying to keep flavored things in the hands of 7-year-olds. Like, if presuming that's my
so again, I was saying my
schema.
My buddy's family has a lot of doctors in it or whatever, and he told me even separate before all this shenanigans came out, he said that his family member who's a doctor told him, if you ever think about vaping, just smoke a pack of cigarettes instead.
Really?
So I don't know and I've heard this years ago actually, that we just don't know what this does. And so people are saying, oh, this is good, this is whatever, and it puts liquid in your lungs where liquid's not supposed to be in. It puts oils in your lungs, and then you get popcorn lung.
Yeah.
And we just did this thing not knowing what it was. It's not super studied. And so, yeah, of course there's a chance it's going to be terrible for you.
It might even give you cancer. Right? So I don't know. What I have heard is that my mom works in a school, and she said that some of the branding on cigarettes has worked, in the sense that we've made it less cool to smoke cigarettes than it was 30 years ago. Vaping, on the other hand, is cool.
Is it?
It's cooler
so I think
amongst
of it
kids.
As so lame.
It's for little kids who have a very different understanding of the world. Yeah. And I don't know. I really...
Actually, you know what's funny? A lot of my friends do vape, now that I think about it.
Yeah. So cigarettes are less cool and a little bit more socially ostracized.
Well, cigarettes are also, you know what, and this is an interesting thing. I wonder if this is related to
and they don't smell good. Somebody
that's what I was just going to say. I wonder if this is the rise to success.
Secondhand, get away from me.
When someone is smoking cigarettes at a club or in an outdoor bar, you're just like, I don't want this. And when someone's smoking a vape, you're kind of like,
I don't mind.
I shouldn't inhale this because that means it's getting in my body.
Air freshener.
But it smells nice.
Yeah, yeah. So what do I think? Probably don't smoke either of them as a person, and as a government.
Smoke toad venom instead.
Yeah, toad venom is real good for you.
There's no way that's bad for you.
There's no way 5-MeO-DMT could possibly be bad. I have no policy.
The thing I think is most fascinating is what is and is not allowed to be legal. So we're going to
Why is this? I'm shocked this is an issue.
So we're going to make vapes illegal because they're bad for you.
Yeah.
But we're not going to make cigarettes illegal, but they're bad for you.
Yeah.
And we're going to make psilocybin illegal because it's bad for you.
Yeah.
But our drunk driving laws are going to be the loosest of any country in the world.
Yeah.
But drunk driving is bad for you.
Well, imagine a world where you look at what you could, and of course, then you could fight over the statistics, but generally speaking, a pie chart of premature deaths in the United States of America.
And you looked at how many
and you looked at the biggest piece of the pie chart, and you said, what can we do here?
Yeah.
And then after you did that, you said here, and we all just agreed, whatever comes back is the most important thing for us to legislate, work on, and maybe we can't agree on solutions, but that's where the attention should go.
It wouldn't be vapes.
I don't think it would be vapes.
No, it definitely wouldn't.
I don't think it would be vapes. And I looked at it, a lot of it, if you look, it's heart disease, diabetes, yada, yada, yada. It's like sugar,
trans fats.
Soda,
they're
Coca-Cola.
working on making certain things illegal in food, but they get like a 10-year runway. They ban certain fats for just being too terrible for your heart because they look at the pie chart. They go, these are killing everyone. And then it takes like 10 years before food companies are forced to remove them because it's in our process. You can't do that to us. We're corporations.
Yeah.
So it's so fascinating.
It would be nice if we could, and I think this would never happen, but as a thought experiment, it's nice to think about for a number of different issues that people don't agree on, to agree on a process that says, in terms of, forget what we're going to do with guns. We're going to look at the pie chart. Yeah. We're going to start at the top, and we're going to work our way down.
I'm not going to even tell you what the labels are.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make a pie
chart.
You're not
allowed. No, you're explicitly not allowed to know.
It's called number of things that kill people and the number of things that kill people that aren't you. Because I actually personally would rather, if people want to do, let's say there's a drug that absolutely kills you in 10 years, but it doesn't hurt anyone else.
Yeah. And
you're allowed to die 10 years from now.
And again, we could agree on that process. I could say, no, let's do things that kill people. You go, no. People should be allowed to kill themselves. Let's look at the pie chart of
people that kill other people. Things that kill other people.
Sure.
And we agree on the pie chart, and then we go, cool, that's the pie chart we're going to do. They'd make it, hopefully with good data. They wouldn't label anything.
Then that would be where the fight was.
You'd fight hard.
Would be in the statistics.
Cigarettes didn't kill that person. Lung cancer did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Devil in the details for sure. But it's an interesting idea, and one that I have not seen vaping on. I looked at the top 10 causes of death, and like I said, there's a lot of food related.
It's just diet related. It's amazing that there's very little policing of how much sugar or chemicals we can eat. And I'm not saying to make alcohol illegal, but certainly in terms of hurting other people, it's higher on the list than like MDMA.
So this is, I guess, the bigger thing. Why is this an issue? I think oftentimes
why are we being fed?
Why do we care about vaping?
Yeah,
at all. And I'm not saying that it might be awful. Vaping might be. I have no idea. It might be a negative 10 out of 10 in terms of badness, but in terms of scale, I don't think it's anywhere near that. And why are we being fed by the news to focus on vaping? The thing that I try to do with the news is to not accept the argument in the form that it's given and step back and go, why this argument? Mm-hmm. Why are we hearing about this now? And what are we not hearing about? And again, the answer is always consumerism. The answer is always buy, right? But yeah, I'm not convinced that this is where we should be spending collective attention.
I'm almost positive it's not.
Don't vape and don't smoke if you can help it.
Don't drink and drive.
Try
to avoid sugars.
Yeah. And the one thing that I can imagine is tricky, and this is one of the reasons that I don't want to have kids, is, man, having kids can be really dumb. Right? Yeah. I remember what it was like to think, not even think, because people are like, you think you're invincible. It's like, no, that's not a thought I have. I just doesn't occur to me that anything could go wrong. I don't think I'm invincible.
To be clear, that was me until like 28.
Yeah, I just the idea of a future that I could mess up cannot enter this brain. Yeah. It's invincibility. That's not what's happening here.
My mom said I was a full meathead at some point in college. I drank like 18 beers in a day, and my mom was like, "That's really bad for you." I was like, "What could be bad for me?"
Future.
I'm invincible. Yeah. What do you mean? I can't be hurt. I can't get sick. When I do get sick, it's a fluke. It has nothing to do with my binge drinking, according to my brain.
It's just, it's tough then to have some 13-year-old who's got 3 friends and 2 of them start vaping, and then it's like, oh man, how do I get through to these kids?
Yeah. No, having kids sounds like literally the most stressful thing you could possibly do.
Yeah, and I guess I understand from a parental standpoint where it's like, please somebody help me police my child.
Yeah.
Because
this tastes like cotton candy, and I just want it to taste like tobacco.
Yeah. But anyway, what else we got?
All right, let's do fan questions.
Okay, so the first one is short but sweet. Devam asks, how do you let go of managing other people's opinions of you?
It's a great question that I'm definitely not an expert at.
We just talked. I mean, that's kind of what we were just talking about. So, okay. I will give you a couple of thoughts. I don't know that I have a complete system for this, but one that I've mentioned that has helped me, at least online, is knowing your metrics. And the metric online, you can count downvotes, you can count hate comments, and most people, without defining a metric, will count negative responses to them. What you need to do is proactively define your metric of what you're going to count. And that can be close friends. That can be the opinion of a few people in your life, plus family. And then you can even weigh public opinion as a 1-pointer against your closest friend, or whatever it is. But you do need to define who matters, who gets a vote, or what gets a vote. Because the world is so big, and the human brain is so apt to grab the negative one voice out of a sea of positivity that you will just try to define your life based on where you're told not to go. Now, this is still, I recognize this. You're still managing the opinions of others, but now you're managing fewer people. I think that's important, is to decrease that circle and do one with yourself. Second thing I would say, and Ben mentioned this, is to read 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, because just a lot of the exercises in there get you in touch with yourself. And if I had to say, if there's a third thing, well, I'll let you go. I'm still kind of formulating.
Give me the question again.
How do you let go of managing other people's expectations?
Opinions or expectations?
Opinions.
How do you let go of managing other people's opinions? This is tough. Let me think about my own life. There's areas I've been excellent at. I wanted to become an entrepreneur. Everyone told me I was stupid, and I was very happy to just do it anyway. And then there's other areas I'm terrible at, like people having negative opinions about you as a person based on some random snippet online.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the difference there? Why was I able to let go of people's opinions when it came to leaving my job? Why was I able to eschew that? I guess. So go ahead.
Well, certainly we did it together. I think it would have been considerably harder if you did it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So having, again, a small circle of people who matter helps.
Actually, you know what I would say? And this is, you kind of said this, but define whose opinion you think is worth listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Mentors, family, friends. I don't think you just want to become the kind of person who goes, everyone is wrong and I'm right. Everyone says I'm a dick because they don't understand me. There's this weird lack of self-perception there, right? But you don't want to... There's a great quote that says, don't follow the advice from someone who's not living the life you want to live. And I think that can apply beyond advice. So you don't want to care about the opinion of someone who shouldn't have value in your brain. But the question is, how do you do that? I'm not really sure. What helped me was having, in that particular instance, a carrot of what I wanted. You know, I had a clear dream of entrepreneurship and what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of depends if what you're talking about is being popular or doing something counterculture. When it came to doing something counterculture, open relationships, starting a business, what really helped me to go, I respect that that's the opinion of 98% of people, but I'm going to do my own thing, was having a really clear North Star, a really clear vision of the future I wanted, so that I could hear the feedback of people who I loved, who were telling me, don't quit your job, or you're crazy if you think that people will date you non-monogamously. Yeah. Just go, you know what? Respect that's how you feel. I'm going to give it a try because I feel very strongly that this will make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, having a clear dream is really helpful. I guess the part I still struggle with managing other people's opinions is just this general sense of judgment or of being good versus bad.
Well, I think that the areas where you struggle the most are the areas where anyone is the most insecure. And that normally comes from however you were raised. So I don't know, for whatever reason, entrepreneurship was something that you're like,
I was positive I would succeed.
Yeah.
Is the other thing. With entrepreneurship.
And you're less positive that you are good in a existential way.
Isn't that human nature, according to Tony Robbins? We all fear that we're not good enough, and we all fear that because we're not good enough, we won't be loved.
Yeah. That is the human condition. So this is a tough question in that you asked a very broad one, and hopefully we've given you a handful of things. The last thing that I would add into this is, because we often think of these online. The truth is, in our own lives, we've done a pretty good job of carving our own path. Where we get the most negative feedback is on the internet. No one in my life has ever been as mean as internet comments could possibly be.
Nope.
So that's where my brain goes to. I don't know that.
Yeah, I wish I knew the context.
Yeah, actually,
and
give us a bit more context in questions. Generally, it'll help a lot. But the last thing that I'll say is,
if I knew this was how to manage the opinions of others when quitting your job, I could give you a much different and more useful answer.
Sure.
Because I don't know if you're talking about dating or work.
Yep.
Or general social media bullying. I'm not really sure what the question is.
So this may or may not apply to you, but controlling your environment is very important. So we mentioned defining who matters. It's also limiting access of people who don't. So if you're finding that you're managing expectations based on being on Instagram or being on some other social media app, you got to delete it. You got to get off of that thing. If I find, for instance, in my life that comments are negatively impacting and really steering the direction that I'm making these videos in order to try to appease some small group of people who didn't like the last one, I have to stop reading the comments. And I have to put up actual physical blocks so it can't even enter into my world.
I got a charisma angle on this actually too.
Sure.
So what this question might be asking, again, I'm just guessing, how do you manage caring about other people's opinions? I know a lot of people that are scared to go up and talk to people. They're afraid to approach people at bars.
Yeah, we might be answering this in the
they're afraid to approach people at bars. They're afraid to go to networking events and talk. They are afraid to talk to strangers for fear that they won't like them. To which I would say some of them will not.
Yeah.
And the people with the most success in talking to people have had the most failures. And so if this is an area like that, experiencing failure can be really helpful. So you're like, how do I manage people's opinions? I don't want other people to not like me. If you just go up and make a terrible impression and survive it, that can often be the best thing for you because you go, can't go worse than that.
Yeah, sure.
And it gives you a little bit of a social invincibility. And I always say, people ask questions, how do I do this in college? I'm like, don't do it on campus. Go somewhere that's not a closed social network and start making conversation with strangers in an area where you can bomb 100 times without worrying about your reputation.
Yeah.
And that will give you social courage. So again, if this is a charisma, I really don't know what we're asking, but if it's a charisma question of how do I be at a party or be at a networking event and not worry about what all these people are thinking, go somewhere where you can afford to fail, and then go fail a bunch and then realize you've survived, and that will actually empower you greatly.
Sure. Yeah, let's wrap with that. And you can even do that in your head. You can imagine the worst case scenario. Take a deep breath. Everyone hates you. Okay. Well, anything less than that is a win. So that's sorry that was scattered. I think it's slightly a symptom of the breadth of the question. So narrow them down. If you guys have more questions, give us some context. Go ahead.
So YouTube user Shoutout asks, I am a 22-year-old dude, and I've started dating a girl in the last couple weeks. It's going very well. We're texting every day and connecting, etc. Yes. My concern is how slow things are moving. More specifically, we haven't kissed yet. At the end of both of our organized dates, she'd quickly go for a hug and leave. It's not a problem I've had before, and she definitely likes me a lot and seems interested in having a relationship. I wanted to ask you guys how to get things moving on, as I don't want to...
Oh, no.
Siri's talking to me, sorry.
I'm not sure I understand. How do I get things moving on? I'm not sure I understand.
Sorry.
Explain what you mean by moving on.
Siri thought she had an opinion on this. Okay. I wanted to ask you guys how to get things moving on more, as I don't want the sexual... sorry. I wanted to ask you guys how to get things moving more, as I don't want the spark or the sexual tension to dissipate.
Okay.
I got two disparate thoughts on this.
Go for it.
So one, you talk about how based on your question, I'm making a guess. You talk about how at the end of dates, there's a quick hug and then she leaves, which makes me think that you think the date should have a kiss at the end.
Yeah.
I often find that the best dates, it's not that you have this date with no physical contact and then at the end you kiss. I think a lot of times these dates you don't touch. There's this physical barrier that never gets even close to being, influenced. And then there's this we've never touched, and I want to lean in for this leap. And so I think you'd be better off if you just were touching throughout the whole date to the level that she's comfortable with. So if she doesn't want to kiss you because she's not comfortable with it, is she comfortable with holding hands? Is she comfortable with having your arm around her? Any date I've ever been on where I kissed the person, I had my arm around them at some point before the date. We were holding hands while we walked. Even a first date, I've known this person for an hour. We go for a walk from one bar to another. I'll put my arm around her for a brief second, or when I laugh, I'll touch her. So there's that aspect of, are you helping to create this physical force field, and then she feels uncomfortable at the end of the date because you guys haven't touched it all. And so she likes you, but it's like not comfortable with your physical contact, so she doesn't want to be leapt at. That's a possibility. The other possibility is that there's a million things happening in her life or that have happened in her life that I don't know, that you don't know. And so what I would suggest is to talk to her.
This is what I was thinking.
And so in general on dates, my advice is try to, get used to touching each other in non-sexual ways, holding hands, high-fiving, shoulder touches. But with this person who likes you, maybe she's got trauma. Maybe there's religious reasons. Maybe she just feels weird. Maybe
she's been waiting for you. Who knows?
Maybe there's a million things. So I would say just talk to her.
Yeah, and the way to do that is, and this is easier said than done, especially the first time, it's a non-needy conversation.
Yeah, no expectations. You're not demanding a kiss. You're not upset. You're literally just, and you don't care which way it breaks down.
It could go like this. You don't need to copy my words, but this is the attitude that you should tap into. Is, hey, this might be totally random to bring up now, but I wanted to ask you because it's strange for me. We've been dating for a couple of weeks and we've never kissed. That's not what I'm used to. And I just wanted to talk to you to see if there's something that you're uncomfortable with, or if that's weird for you as well, and just talk about it.
Yeah. And I'm gonna do a little charisma breakdown on Charlie here. So two things that were really good there, and take this mindset more than the exact words, but he acknowledged that it was weird. I think a lot of people, they're like, how do I broach this conversation? It makes me feel uncomfortable. You say, hey, I don't know how to broach this conversation. It makes me feel uncomfortable. But whatever you feel. So just tap into your feelings, and then you start by saying how you feel and acknowledging it, rather than, we just made a video on awkwardness. Things get awkward when you hide that.
Yeah.
And so that would be my first thing. The second thing he did just now is he spoke about himself. So you wouldn't come in and you'd say, hey, I know this is totally random, but we haven't kissed in 3 dates, and that's weird. That's not right. You're supposed to kiss if you're dating. Mm-hmm. That would be terrible, and you would deserve a bad reaction. He said, I know this is totally random, but we haven't kissed, and for me, that's unusual. So he's just talking about himself, and he's saying, I have this question because to me, I'm not used to this. So help me understand why this is happening. And I think those are two very helpful ways to ever have a conversation that's difficult or awkward, is you kind of acknowledge what's happening and bring it to the forefront that it's random. And then you just talk about yourself. Mm-hmm. You say, hey, I was wondering what's going on. Mm-hmm. And you don't put any judgment on the person about what's supposed to happen or what they're doing is wrong.
And you could even, it was only after I turned probably 29 or 30 that I could do this comfortably. Because prior to that, it was all about being attractive. It was all about saying the right thing. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing is, when you get into the mentality of non-neediness, you can't say the wrong thing.
Well, you would be, and again, this is a very hard thing, but you would be willing to have the conversation go bad and have her say,
I'd be like, do you want to kiss me or not?
No, or like, should we, like, are we friends? Are you more? This is what you would do.
I'd be just curious.
Like, there's no skin off my back. I'm totally fine. And I think with dating, you feel this way. You're totally fine. You don't particularly care one way or the other.
And what that allows me to do is all of the things that we talk about on the channel. I can bring levity into it. I can bring it all. But it all comes from this non-needy. I don't have to make this situation go any way.
Sure. And so
I'm just trying to uncover what's happening. You're not trying to
manipulate her into kissing you.
Yes.
You're trying to understand
what's going on, because I'm confused.
What's going on in the relationship between you and in her head, what's unspoken.
Yeah.
That mindset will have the best possible conversation. And the best possible conversation is an honest one. It's not one that leads to you having sex right then and there. Yeah. But yeah, that's I think, one potential problem I see a lot is the lack of touching during the date, and then this weird physical barrier appears.
The talking will take it over. Yeah. You'll do it, and it'll work, and you guys will, have a
You'll have an honest understanding.
Or she'll be like, I'm not feeling it, or she'll be like, hey, 2 more days, whatever.
Like, you'll have an honest understanding.
Yes. You will be asking her, who is the best person to ask, rather than us. So, what else do we got?
Dave says, so I started a new job, but I'm about 10 years younger than most of my coworkers.
I read this one, yeah.
And they're predominantly female. I've proven to them that though I'm young, I still get the job done, and I'm not totally clueless. But they still don't really take me seriously. I often get called things, playfully, not rudely, like man, child, and baby. I don't really care, but it's evident that I'm not taken seriously. How do I make them take me more seriously without being rude?
I did, when I read this, I thought, can you imagine this in the reverse with some 29-year-old guy calling some 22-year-old girl baby in the workplace?
Whatever, bro, you're a man.
I was like, that would be trouble. So
that's not what equal rights means, dude. Shut up.
Do you have any reaction?
I mean, the one thing, kudos to you, man. You got a job where people are 10 years older than you. Yeah. I think the truth is that's going to lead, you are the least experienced, and I don't know to the degree you're being disrespected or whatever it is. I'm not trying to minimize, but genders aside, if I had a 22-year-old employee, I also would weight my own business opinions higher than theirs, because I would have been working for 11 years and they've been working for 1 year. So I don't know. It's possible that actually...
I think it's the names that are...
Well, I don't know, because what he says is he wants to be taken seriously.
Ah, got it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Angel. From what I heard, it's not... He said, I don't mind the names. I just want to be taken seriously.
Oh, okay.
And what I'm saying is if it were all men, you could still have a nickname.
Yeah.
And if it were all men, you definitely still wouldn't get the same clout as the guy that'd been there for 11 years. So just for your own sake, I know when you are 22 and you are smart and you think you deserve a seat at the table, it should be a high chair. Yeah. And that's not because of your gender. It's because you've been working for a year and they've been working for 11 years. Yeah. So that's my first thought. I don't know what yours is.
Well, I actually maybe heard the question wrong, or just what I focused on was the names. And with regard to the names, one of the best ways to get people to stop doing something is to not react, meaning don't respond to these names. Like, they call you something, keep walking. Give no feedback. It's not positive feedback. It's not negative feedback. It's no feedback to that. And if it is brought up, you go, why aren't you listening? Be like, I don't really like those names. Like, don't, the less you give.
But only do that if you dislike the name. If you truly, I mean, again, I don't know how much
I focused on the names.
I don't know how much of this is how you really feel, but if you truly don't care about the names, then I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I mean, certainly I know that people in the workplace have had nicknames.
Mm-hmm. If it's the names that bother you, or any name, generally speaking, not feeding it is...
By the way, the best way to get taken seriously at work, I think, is to have excellent results and do excellent work. Mm-hmm. You know, you're 22. Does it say how long you've been working there?
No, it doesn't say.
So life is long. I don't know how long you plan to work there, but if you just crush it, if you put in great work or do deliver excellent results in a way that's tangible and measurable, even if they give you nicknames, you can't help but earn respect there. Now, some jobs are not quantifiable. If you're in sales, it's going to become very obvious who's good and who's bad. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe it's an artistic job and that's harder, but I think in general, crushing it is the number one way to get respect at the office. And I can think of examples from my work experience where guys crushed it. And after 1 or 2 times, you realize it's not a fluke. And then the person gets a seat at the table despite their age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, guys. That's been a long podcast. Have a good day, everyone. If you want to
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
If you want to donate, link in the description to Charity Water. $30 gets someone water for 10 years. So
either way, though, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Listening.
Peace.
Later.